Imagine you are a professional, a damn good one. You have worked your way up the ranks. You have commanded the VIP protection unit. You have been trusted with the lives of the city's top principals. You have gone back to school on the city's dime. You have gotten the qualifications you needed to advance. You are now the head of media and public relations for a massive metropolitan police force, the EMPD. You believe in your job. You believe in truth, transparency. One day, a media inquiry lands on your desk. It is from an award-winning investigative journalist, Jeff Wicks. He is asking about a senior officer in your department, a brigadier, who has allegedly been caught in a massive blue light blaster scandal.
There were no blue lights that were fitted by the city. I didn't fit any blue light. The city didn't fit any blue light.
I put and the municipality's lying.
No, the municipality didn't lie. The letter of municipality is very clear that the city didn't put any blue lights. You see, I was part of those processes. I didn't put blue. The city didn't put blue lights. You see, I can assure you, you can go to our fleet, you can go to any document, and this is a public institution. Anything that you do, any procurement that you touch, those files belong to public. That documentation that must prove that. We said, come on, go and check the processes and the procedures of the city. Go to procurement and check. Go to fleet and check. There are no blue lights that were put in the police. That story comes from within individuals that wanted to destroy somebody's name and deal with character assassination.
Fitting private cars with state-issued police lights. So you do your job. You and your team, you follow standard practice. You check the facts, you apply the National Road Traffic Act, and you send back a simple, truthful, professional response that confirms the allegations require investigation. And that is the moment your life becomes a living hell. In this video, we are going to reveal the real figure they were protecting. We will open the character file on Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi, a central figure in EMPD controversy, and show you how this junior person was, in fact, the linchpin of a corruption network that connects to tender fraud, alleged improper relationships with controversial figures, and the system that witnesses, say, failed whistleblower Babita Deokaran. This is a masterclass in municipal state capture. This is how they do it. This is how they silence the good ones. Trust me, you need to see this. So please click the like button and subscribe because we are about to pull the whole thing apart. All right, let's set the stage. The witness is Lt-Col Kelebogile Thipa. The place is the Madlanga Commission. The topic? A simple media inquiry from News 24's Jeff Wicks in February 2023. This inquiry was significant. Wicks had evidence, Instagram videos, official letters that Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi had allegedly given state-issued blue lights to the private luxury vehicles of Vusimuzi Cat, Matlala, a controversial figure with alleged underworld connections. Now, Lt-Col Thipa and her unit, as we said, did their job. They responded truthfully. And for that, a system focused on protecting Mkhwanazi, came for her. The first weapon of choice? Not direct confrontation, but a memo. A simple bureaucratic piece of paper from the office of the city manager, Umama herself, Dr. Imogen Mashazi. This memo, delivered in August or September 2023, declared that all communications had to be centralized. And this is where the systematic pressure begins. Thipa's superior, a man named Zweli Lamini, is now the gatekeeper. And he gives Thipa an instruction so impossible, so perfectly designed for failure. It is a work of bureaucratic manipulation. Lamini, please roll the video on screen. I want you to listen to this, and I want you to feel the trap she is in.
Ekurhuleni municipality, I think there were two, one in August and one in September, inquiring about the Mkhwanazi allegations, the blue lights, and the fact that he was charged and the charges were quashed. In other words, they did not continue with the proceedings against him. Were you aware of those emails, and can you comment on whether or not this communique was in response to that?
I'm not in, I was never aware of such correspondence that came anonymously to the department, the city. I knew nothing about it, but what I had picked up was the communique itself, the memorandum from the Office of the City Manager, sought to restrict communication, dissemination of same, which is a core function and the mandate of the Media and PR unit.
Thank you, Commissioner. Colonel Thipa, you have shared with the Commission your response to that memorandum, but you detail a further interaction with Mr. Dlamini from paragraph 72. Can I ask you to go there?
So I later reached out to Mr. Dlamini and asked him whether he was certain that we should continue in strict compliance of this policy amendment. Commissioners, it's done so for reasons that already we are falling behind schedule in terms of our deadlines. You know, you would need to make follow-ups with him. At times he's not even available, not on his phone. You send an email and it takes longer for a response to reach you. So it became a bit problematic and very saggy and draining us as a team that needed to execute our duties. So he said, no, keep the standard routine inquiries and send me the complex ones. Where do I then draw a line to say this is more complex and this is standard routine? I think at the back of my head, I would believe what he meant is when it pertains to an accident inquiry that you guys know, then deal with it, attend to it, heck, have a field day with media. But when it comes to those that are complex, like I said, complexity in this instant, what would it be? How do I then draw the line? Would I at any given point step over what would be boundary set by the very same directive issued by the Office of the City Manager? It left me in a very tight predicament of having to distinguish between right and wrong in this instant.
And what did you make of that response? Keep the simple ones, send me the complex ones. How did you go about implementing that, if at all?
He was overwhelmed. I could just conclude right there and there that he was overwhelmed. In essence, he's now saying, let's have the lesser important ones be dealt with by the team in you and in the media space. But heck, ones that would speak volume on the city, the department, send them to me. But everything speaks to the city and the department. So what is to be sent to him? I wish, for clarity's sake, they had reduced it to writing and said, when we speak of complexities, this is what we are referring to, that I do not then bypass or seemingly would want to circumvent a memorandum.
And even if that was written, if it was not written by Dr. Mashazi, you were still open to possible discipline.
Correct. Catch-22 situation, commissioners. Yeah. In Sesotho, we call it khomo ya moshate. Wa e gapa o molato, wa e lesa o molato. What do you then do in such instances?
That sounds quite beautiful. Can you translate it?
It's in essence a catch-22 situation where, you know, damned you do, damned if you don't.
His is the moment the entire case blows wide open. Lamini admits it. The The real reason for all this is Umama akajabulanga media. The city manager is not happy with media. Why isn't she happy? Thipa asks this. Is it the content, the language, the grammar? No, Lamini is explicit. Umama was not impressed by a media unit and its handling of the Mkhwanazi issue. Guys, can you believe the sheer, unadulterated audacity? Let's be crystal clear about what this means. This is what people mean when they say state capture. It is when the entire system is turned upside down. It is when doing your job correctly becomes a crime. Thipa is being punished because she did her job. She is being told to lay low because she was truthful. She is being told the most powerful person in the city is angry at her because her unit exposed a simple, verifiable fact that Brigadier Mkhwanazi's blue light racket was illegal under the National Road Traffic Act. In this new corrupt world, telling the truth is the one thing you are not allowed to do. And what is Lamini's advice? What is the solution from this sniveling middleman? Lay low as a spokesperson. Limit further media engagements. And as she clarifies later, make yourself scarce. Make yourself scarce. Let that sink in. This is not corporate speak. This is not a performance review. This is mafia talk. This is a threat delivered with a smile and a nickname. He is telling the head of media, the official spokesperson, to stop speaking, to become a ghost, to disappear. This is a soft kill. They do not fire her because that creates a paper trail, a CCMA case, a problem. No, they want to break her. They want to neutralize her. They want her to collect a salary for a job they are explicitly forbidding her from doing. They want her to become a spokesperson who does not speak. And look at her response. It is the response of a professional, a logical, rational human being trapped in an insane, corrupt system. She asks the obvious question, Manje Babu Lamini, are you saying I shouldn't do my work? If that is the case, are you then going to move me elsewhere? She is trying to find the logic. She is thinking, if I am not allowed to be the spokesperson, then my job description has changed. So move me, give me a new job. She is trying to play chess, but she is in a room with people who are playing a much dirtier, much bloodier game. And then Lamini delivers the final cryptic, bone-chilling warning, the one that, to this day, she says she does not understand. But we do. Oh, we do. Lamini, please roll the next clip. This is the real threat.
You're at paragraph 74.
Okay. It reads, at that time, I did not appreciate the closeness between the city manager and Brigadier Mkhwanazi. In hindsight, I see that he was trying to warn me. You know, I really took this for granted. I really took it for granted. Had I had an understanding of what he meant when he said, Umama is not impressed. There was a time he made reference to say, hey, Yazmchana, now in Nama associations wako. I didn't understand what he meant by associations. Clearly, maybe I'm perceived to not be within the group of people that needed to be wherever. I have no idea. I said, no man, puma lapo, puma. I'm asking who, people Dlamini, where, Mr. Dlamini? I'm not understanding what is happening. Is there even association? I'm just here doing my work. You guys have taken me to school, and after getting the qualification which I had, now I need to use it to the full max. But instead, I'm now receiving backlashes for doing my work. I don't even know what the expectation is in this instant. Maybe if it's one that digresses from my job description, I would be better placed to then say, no, you are going against this, which is what you are appointed for.
Did he ever get to explain what associations he was referring to?
No, he never explained, Commissioner. To date, I still wonder what are those associations. Maybe rogueness from truthfulness, maybe lies from truth. It could be anything really. It would just be chasing pavements in this instant.
Hey, these associations of yours. This is the cartel code. This is the factional warning. This is the moment Lamini, the messenger, tells Thipa, you are not in the club. What associations? Thipa is lost, chasing pavements, trying to figure it out. Is it her association with the truth? Her association with her job description? Her association with Colonel Duplessis, who she worked with on the inquiry? I will tell you what associations he is talking about. He is talking about the real inner circle. He is talking about the Kemashli, triumvirate. Other witnesses at this same commission described a secret association that really ran the city, a protection racket. They even had a nickname for it, Kemashli. That is a name smashed together from the three people at the center of the rot: Kemi Bahari, Umama Mashazi, and Linda Gshasheka. This was the association of enablers who, according to other witnesses, received 600,000 Rand salary increases as a token of appreciation for their loyalty. Loyalty in doing what? Loyalty in protecting Mkhwanazi. Lamini is telling her, you are not part of our association. You are not on the team. You are not one of the people who understands that our real job is not public service. Our real job is to protect the boss's favorite, Julius Mkhwanazi. And look at her heartbreaking response. It is the cry of every honest professional in a corrupt system. I'm just here doing my work. You guys have taken me to school. I need to use my qualification to the full max, but instead I'm now receiving a backlash for doing my work. She is being crucified for her own competence. She is being punished for her truthfulness. So now we have the full picture of the how. A catch-22 memo to paralyze her. A verbal order to lay low. And a cryptic factional threat about her associations. All of this bureaucratic terrorism. All this psychological warfare. For what? To protect one man. But who is this man? Who is Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi, that the entire city of Ekurhuleni would be restructured to protect him? Imagine the entire time there has been one question hanging in the air. Why? Why would a billion-rand city, led by an all-powerful city manager, Dr. Imogen Umama Mashazi, risk all of this? Why would they change the entire structure of communications and wage war on their own spokesperson? Lieutenant Colonel Thipa gives the answer herself. It was all for one man. Dlamini, please roll the video on screen. Listen to her connect the dots for the commission.
The recent developments are of saying, lay low, don't do your work as a spokesperson, don't be scarce, make yourself scarce, and that was the expectation. And I did indeed make myself scarce.
Please proceed. You're at paragraph 76.
76. So I later became aware of the fact that the city manager and Brigadier Mkhwanazi have a close bond, and that Brigadier Mkhwanazi not only had access to the city manager, but was protected by the city manager. How do we go about, commissioners, to change the entire structure of communications because of a single matter? I could trace it back, commissioners, to an event that happened in the city of Ekurhuleni during lockdown, when an executive mayor was involved in an accident, and seemingly media inquiries came flying in. What was expected there was for the EMPD to sponsor a response because of the vehicle that was in use being a police vehicle. Now things have changed, have taken a drastic change, a 180-degree change, where the executive mayor, I needed to take interviews and explain processes and procedures pertaining the accident he was involved in. Like I had mentioned, there is a spokesperson in the office of the executive mayor and the city of Ekurhuleni being Zweli Dlamini, but I then had to take what would be the challenges that came with the accident involving the executive mayor, and there was no issues there. Had a sit-in with carte blanche, and I was chastised greatly. And what seemed to be the protection of our principal within the city of Ekurhuleni, I had taken that and never even received any criticism on the same matter. Yet we have a very junior person in the department who had taken to be a blue light blazer, allegedly, now having to change that which would be policies in the city of Ekurhuleni. It seriously raised eyebrows for me. It seriously raised eyebrows.
You mentioned just a change within the EMPD, which you attribute to Brigadier, or the protection of Brigadier Mkhwanazi. Allegedly.
Correct, allegedly.
And I use allegedly advisedly. That's not the only change. Other change is the process to be followed with regard to discipline was also changed. What else? That's not the only thing. But during the break, to myself internally, I think I counted about 3 changes, including this one. What was the other one? But now I forget the third one. But the simple point I want to make is that if these allegations are true, one wonders what lay behind all of this for all these changes to have been made. And in respect of all of them, Brigadier Mkhwanazi having been at the center, it's just amazing. But as I said, I use allegedly, and I do so advisedly. Do you wish to comment on that?
Correct, Commissioner, that the changes were only seen and experienced in the city of Ekurhuleni upon a single media inquiry, that it necessitated, as other speakers have spoken before me, it necessitated the change in discipline, the change in delegation systems, the change in now what is a PR function for the department. So even forget the PR, the public relations work of the unit. It is, everything has just been cut and placed at a halt in saying, you will not. So what don't I do? Does it mean how communication? Is it only communication? If I start now venturing into public relations, that in essence, in turn, is, I could simply say it implies that I shouldn't even engage public relations events in this instant.
You say that in paragraph 76, the last paragraph you read, you say, I later became aware of the fact that the city manager and Brigadier Mkhwanazi have a close bond. That is a conclusion. On what facts do you base it?
Commissioners, as I had said previously, that how does one receive such protection when it's just allegation? We know what is required by law, it is for one to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But these are just simple allegations leveled to an individual that would be properly investigated and ventilated. There is no need to touch base with people that are not involved or even linked to this whole debacle. As a spokesperson, I had received an inquiry and I had done what is expected of me and further furnished responses. What was it then for the city to change a system of communication through the centralization? It is protection. What was it then for the city to say, no, I'm taking away rights or even powers of what would be a divisional head coming to issues of discipline? It is the very same issue. So everything is centralized around Mkhwanazi because of the fact that, an inquiry came into the department that we were never aware of, and seemingly it just led to a whole lot of revelations.
Is protection. That is the case, right there. Thipa, in her calm, professional voice, cuts through all the bureaucratic nonsense and lays the motive bare. This was not about complex inquiries. It was not about Umama being not impressed with grammar. It was about protection. Her testimony is a masterclass in prosecutorial logic. She builds her case for the commission. First, she uses our brutal comparative case. She testifies that during the COVID lockdown, the executive mayor himself was in an accident. It was a massive political problem. She, Thipa, had to handle interviews with carte blanche. She was chastised greatly, but she handled it, and there were no issues. The mayor, the highest political figure, has an accident, and the system holds. Standard procedure, but a junior person, a brigadier, is caught in a blue light blaster scandal, and Umama, Mashazi, burns the entire city structure to the ground to protect him. Aish, guys, really? How does this make any sense to you? It only makes sense if this junior person was not junior at all. It only makes sense if this junior person was the linchpin of the real power structure. And look at the scale of the cover-up. It was not just her communications department. She testifies that 3 major systems were changed, all centralized around Mkhwanazi. 1 communications was gutted to stop Thipa from telling the truth. 2, discipline was changed to stop the HR department from firing Mkhwanazi. 3, delegation systems were changed to give Mkhwanazi and his protectors more power. This is the institutional autopsy. The entire organization was re-engineered, its 20-year-old laws rewritten to shield this one man. So, who is Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi? This is where we do our character file Deep dive, using the facts uncovered by the Madlanga Commission. Thipa calls him junior, but his power was anything but. This is the rotten heart of the EMPD, a swaggering bully who turned the department into his personal fiefdom. This was not just about a few blue lights. The allegations are horrifying. Mkhwanazi allegedly registered multiple luxury cars, BMW X5s, Mercedes, owned by an alleged drug cartel leader and tenderpreneur, Vusi Cat Matlala. He then allegedly slapped state-issued blue lights on these private cartel cars, effectively giving a fly-by-night security firm, CAT VIP protection, the powers of the police. This was not just for skipping traffic. This was for roadblock dodges, laundering fronts for drug runs, and assists in criminal operations. And this is our brutal comparative case that freezes the blood. This is the same Cat Matlala who is the central figure in the Tembisa Hospital Extraction Syndicate, the syndicate that led to the assassination of whistleblower Babita Deokaran. And there is more. The Commission heard about a 2022 copper cable theft case where Mkhwanazi was allegedly seen on surveillance footage with the officers involved. The informant who provided that footage, a man named Jocko Hanekom, was murdered in a drive-by shooting. When did this hit happen? The same day Mkhwanazi's officers were released on bail. This is the man at the center. This is the junior person Thipa was talking about. And this is the man that Umama, Dr. Imogen Mashazi, was hell-bent on protecting. When HR Director Zolani Nsiza tried to discipline Mkhwanazi, Mashazi personally intervened, telling him to leave Mkhwanazi alone. She allegedly changed municipal laws that had existed for 20 years just to protect Mkhwanazi from suspension. She spiked IPID's 2023 fraud probe against him, calling it nonsense. She even allegedly gave two other officials, Advocate Kemi Bahari and Linda Gesasheka, salary increases of 600,000 rands as a token of appreciation for their loyalty in protecting Mkhwanazi. This was the Kimashli protection racket. This is our historical precedent. This is not just bad management. This is the Zondo Commission playbook perfected at a municipal level. This is the Jacob Zuma era protection of Tom Moyane, but localized in Ekurhuleni. It is the same pattern. Capture the internal disciplinary systems, capture the legal systems, and, as Thipa has shown us, capture and destroy the communications systems. This brings us back to Lieutenant Colonel Thipa. She thought she was answering a simple media query. What she was actually doing was pulling the first thread that threatened to unravel this entire multi-million rand criminal protection racket. She was a threat, not because she was a whistleblower, but simply because she was a professional doing her job. And this is the final brutal truth. In a captured state, the most dangerous person is not the revolutionary. It is the honest accountant. It is the principled HR director. It is the spokesperson who believes in truth, transparency. Thipa testifies that an inquiry came in. And seemingly it just led to a whole lot of revelations. What were those revelations? The revelations were that the EMPD had become a syndicate playground. The revelations were that the blue lights were being used for drug runs and hits. The revelations were that the department was protecting a man linked to the murder of whistleblowers. That is what Thipa's little truthful media response threatened to expose. That is why Umama was not impressed, and that is why the entire system was mobilized to make her scarce. So let's bring this case to a close. We have followed the evidence presented by Lieutenant Colonel Kelebogile Thipa, and we have placed it against the deeply troubling backdrop of the Madlanga Commission's wider findings. What have we learned? We have learned that this was never about a simple memo. It was never about complex versus routine inquiries. It was never about Umama being not impressed with grammar. This was a prohibition. This was a gag order. This was a shutdown of accountability activated by the highest levels of the city of Ekurhuleni, Dr. Imogen Umama Mashazi herself. We have seen the two-pronged strategy used to make scarce a good professional police officer. First, the official tool, a catch-22 memo deliberately designed to be impossible to follow, a form of bureaucratic manipulation that left Thipa and her team draining and sagging, trapped in a tight predicament where doing their job and not doing their job were both punishable offenses. Second, the unofficial tool, a troubling verbal order from her superior, Zweli Lamini, to lay low, an order to stop speaking, and a cryptic factional threat about her associations, a clear warning that she was not in the group, not part of the Kamashli protection network. And who were they protecting with this institutional autopsy? Not just a junior person. They were protecting a central figure of the EMPD, Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi, a man who was not just a blue light blaster, but according to commission evidence, a key figure in a corruption network. A man who, according to the commission's evidence, allegedly gave state protection to Vusamuzi Kat Matlala, a figure with serious allegations against him. A man whose network is linked, according to testimony, to the Tembisa Hospital Syndicate and the Babita Deokaran matter. A man whose unit's alleged copper theft was exposed by an informant, Jaco Hanekom, whose own case ended tragically. This is the man Umama Mashazi was determined to protect. A city manager who, according to witnesses, changed 20-year-old municipal laws, interfered with IPID probes, and told her HR director to leave Mkhwanazi alone. A city manager who handed out 600,000 Rand tokens of appreciation to her enablers. This is the ultimate hypocrisy. Thipa testifies that she was taken to school by the city, got her qualification, and all she wanted was to use it to the full max. Instead, for her professionalism, for her competence, for her simple belief in truth and transparency, she received a backlash. In the corrupt ecosystem of Ekurhuleni, competence was treated as a threat. Transparency was dangerous, and doing your job was treated as betrayal. Thipa's testimony is the story of every SA whistleblower. She was the officer silenced for speaking truth. She was given an impossible choice: either breach her professional ethics to stay safe, or do her job and face serious consequences. The final question of this video is the one Thipa asked the Commission herself. How does one receive such protection? She answered her own question. It is protection. This was not a failure of systems. This was the success of a new system, a system designed not for public service, but for protection. A system that, as we now know, was rooted in corruption and had no regard for the law. The entire city structure, its communications, its discipline, its delegations, was centralized around Mkhwanazi. And in that structure, there was no room for an honest cop to breathe. Thank you for watching. If you believe this kind of deep dive analysis is necessary to understand the rot in our country, please click the like button and subscribe. We will not lay low, and we will not make ourselves scarce. We will keep asking questions